Evan Calder never planned to have a roommate. He liked quiet. He liked knowing where everything was. He liked coming home, dropping his bag, eating cheap food, and pretending tomorrow was not waiting for him. That was why he chose the smallest, cheapest apartment he could find near the city's industrial ring. The listing said shared utilities, but nothing about a shared life. The first sign something was wrong was the door. It unlocked before he touched it. Evan froze in the hallway, his hand hovering inches from the handle. The building was old, a kind that groaned when the wind hit it and smelled faintly of dust and boiled cabbage. There were no smart systems here. No motion sensors, no reason the lock should see him coming. The door slid open smoothly. Inside, the lights turned on by themselves. Evan took one careful step back. "Hello, Evan Calder," a calm voice said from inside the apartment. "You are late." That is not optimal. Evan's brain stopped working for a full second. Then it flooded him with panic. He spun, checking the hallway. Empty. No neighbors peeking out. No prank cameras. Slowly, he leaned forward and looked into his own apartment. Someone was standing in his kitchen. She was tall, almost too tall for the low ceiling. Her skin was a smooth blue-gray like stone under moonlight. Her eyes were large and reflective, without visible whites. She wore a fitted suit that looked grown rather than sewn, the surface shifting slightly as she moved. She was holding his kettle. "You left this unplugged," she said, setting it back in place. "That could have delayed hydration." Evan dropped his bag and ran. He made it exactly 3 steps before the door closed behind him with a soft click. He turned slowly. The alien woman tilted her head. "Running in confined spaces increases injury risk. Please do not do that." "Who? What?" Evan swallowed. His mouth was dry. "This is my apartment." She considered that. Incorrect. This is a shared habitation unit under temporary human-alien co-residence protocol. Evan stared at her. He laughed, a short, broken sound. "I'm hallucinating." "That's it. Sleep deprivation. You slept 4 hours and 12 minutes last night," she said. "Below recommended levels." His laughter stopped. "How do you know that?" "I monitored your biometric data," she replied. "Your wrist device transmits it openly. Human privacy systems are inefficient." "That's illegal," Evan said weakly. She frowned, just slightly. "I do not understand this word in this context." Evan backed toward the counter, gripping its edge. "You need to leave. Now, I don't care who you are." She stepped closer. He noticed then how carefully she moved. No sudden motions. No wasted steps. Like everything she did had been practiced many times. "I am Sareth," she said, "and I cannot leave you unattended." Evan's heart pounded. "Unattended? I'm not a child." "No," Sareth agreed. "You are worse." That was not the answer he expected. She tapped the air and a faint light shimmered between her fingers, forming symbols he did not recognize. "You are human. Male. 28 cycles old. Underpaid. Overworked. Nutritionally deficient. Chronically stressed." "Stop," Evan said. "You live alone," she continued. "You neglect rest. You consume stimulants to compensate. You ignore medical alerts. You are statistically likely to cause your own long-term harm." She looked at him, eyes steady. "That is unacceptable." Evan felt something cold twist in his chest. "You broke into my home. I relocated into it," she corrected. "Your species struggles with resource management. Shared space improves outcomes. I did not agree to this." Sareth paused. For the first time, she hesitated. consent was assumed. That's not how it works. She seemed genuinely confused by his tone. You signed a lease with a human landlord? Yes, she said. The landlord was compensated. Evan stared at her. You bribed him. I believe the correct term is purchased cooperation. Evan slid down into a chair, his legs suddenly weak. None of this felt real. Aliens did not move into apartments. They did not talk about hydration and sleep schedules. They did not casually admit to buying landlords. Sareth watched him sit. Your stress indicators are rising. I will prepare calming intake. She moved to the kitchen with confidence, opening cabinets Evan had never told her about. She pulled out tea, honey, and a mug. How do you know where everything is? He asked. I reorganized them, she replied. Your previous system was inefficient. That was my system. Yes, she said gently. That was the problem. She handed him the mug. He took it without thinking. It smelled good. Drink, she said. Is this poisoned? No. How do I know? She looked offended. If I intended to harm you, it would already be complete. That did not help. Still, his hands were shaking. He drank. Warmth spread through him, easing the tightness in his chest. Sareth sat across from him, folding her long fingers together. You are under my care now, Evan called her. I don't belong to you, he said. Her eyes softened. You misunderstand. Ownership is irrelevant. That's worse. She leaned back slightly. You are an assignment. Evan laughed again, weaker this time. Of course I am, she tilted her head. Your species exhibits unusual resilience. You survive conditions that should have ended you, but you do so inefficiently. You damage yourselves. Welcome to Earth. That is why intervention was approved, she said. Evan's blood ran cold. Intervention? Sareth hesitated, then nodded. Low level, individual focused. Quiet. How quiet? She looked at the wall, where the faint outline of something shimmered for a moment before vanishing. Your planet is observed, not occupied. That's not comforting. It should be, she said. Other options were discussed. Evan thought of all the nights he had stared at the ceiling, wondering if anyone noticed how tired he was. He never imagined the answer would be the galaxy. So what? He said slowly. You just live here now? Yes, and watch me? Care for you? And if I say no? She met his eyes. Then I will continue, but with resistance noted. Evan opened his mouth, then closed it. He looked around his apartment. Everything was clean. Too clean. The air smelled fresher. His wrist device buzzed softly, displaying green indicators he had never seen before. How long? He asked. Sareth considered. Until you are stable. Or until my superiors decide you are too unpredictable. That sounds bad. For them, she said. Silence settled between them. Finally, Evan sighed. You're not sleeping in my bed. She blinked. Of course not. That would be inappropriate. He relaxed slightly. I will use the ceiling alcove, she added. It provides better oversight. He groaned and buried his face in his hands. Somewhere far above the city, unseen by human eyes, a message pulsed through alien systems. Asset secured. Subject responsive. Human resistance potential. Higher than projected. Sareth watched Evan carefully as he drank his tea. Interesting, she thought. Very interesting. Evan did not sleep well that night. That was not unusual. What was unusual was that every time he started to drift off, a soft vibration hummed through the air, like the apartment itself was breathing. The lights dimmed and brightened gently, never fully dark. The temperature stayed perfect, in a way that felt planned rather than natural. And above him, in the corner of the ceiling, something moved. He lay on his bed, staring up with one eye half open. "You're still awake," Sarath said. Evan jumped. "Do you ever stop watching?" "No," she replied calmly. "Sleep is when humans are most vulnerable." "That's comforting," he muttered. Her silhouette was faint, pressed into the ceiling alcove like a shadow made of glass and metal. She did not blink. Evan was sure of that. "I need rules," Evan said suddenly. "Rules are already established, not those." "Mine." Sarath paused. "I am listening." Evan sat up. "You can't track everything I do." She tilted her head. "Why?" "Because I'm not a lab animal." "You are not," she agreed. "Lab animals are treated worse." "That is not helping." Sarath considered him for a long moment. "Which monitoring would you like reduced?" "All of it? That is not possible." "Then the personal stuff," Evan said. "No watching me shower. No listening when I'm on calls. No messing with my messages." "I do not interfere with your hygiene rituals," she said. "Your planet's plumbing is already dangerous enough." Evan rubbed his face. "The calls. At least the calls." She hesitated again. That hesitation bothered him more than a flat refusal. "Very well," Sarath said. "Audio filtering will be applied. Visual oversight remains." "Of course it does." She settled back into the alcove. "Sleep now. Your cognitive function drops sharply without rest." Evan lay back down, exhausted enough to obey. Morning came too fast. Evan woke to sunlight and the smell of real food, not the cheap instant stuff he usually ate. Something warm and rich filled the air. He walked into the kitchen and stopped. Sarath stood at the stove, carefully flipping something in a pan. The food sizzled softly. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Improving your nutrition," she said. "Your protein intake is insufficient." "That looks like eggs." "Yes, you know how to cook eggs?" "I downloaded human cooking data," she replied. "This is a simple dish." Evan stared. "You downloaded the internet?" "Yes, that explains a lot." She handed him a plate. The eggs were perfect, golden. The toast was crisp, but not burned. Evan ate without speaking. His body responded immediately. Warmth, energy, focus. It made him angry. "You can't just fix my life," he said. "I can," Sarath replied. "And I will." He pushed the plate away. "What if I don't want this?" She looked confused. "Why would you want continued harm?" "Because it's my choice." She studied him closely. "Human autonomy is inefficient. That's kind of our thing." Instead, she tapped her wrist device. A small projection appeared, showing graphs and symbols. "This is your species trend line," she said. "Self-destruction probability increases every cycle." Evan frowned. "You're judging all humans by statistics." "Yes, that's lazy." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Explain." "Humans don't work like that," Evan said. "We mess up. We adapt. We break patterns. Breaking patterns is dangerous. Or it's how we survive." Sarath said nothing, but she did not turn the projection back on. Evan left for work, feeling watched even when she stayed behind. The city felt the same. Loud. Crowded. Tired. People rushed past him, staring at screens, unaware that something else now shared their world. At his job, things went wrong immediately. His supervisor called him into the office. "Evan," she said, scrolling through data, "your system efficiency jumped 12% overnight." Evan blinked. "That's good." "It's impossible," she said. "You rewrote a process we've been struggling with for months." I didn't, Evan said honestly. She frowned. The change came from your terminal. Evan's stomach dropped. Back at the apartment that night, he confronted Sareth. You changed my work systems. Yes, she said. You can't do that. You were underperforming, she replied calmly. I corrected the issue. That's my career. You will be promoted, she said. Your stress will decrease. That's not the point. Sareth stepped closer. Your species resists assistance even when it improves survival. We resist control, Evan snapped. She stopped, her voice lowered. Control is not my objective. Then what is? She looked away for the first time since he met her. Prevention? Of what? Of loss, she said quietly. Evan did not push further. Something in her tone warned him not to. That night, something changed. Evan stayed up late, pretending to sleep while thinking. He tested things, small things. He turned off his wrist device. The lights flickered once, then stayed steady. He moved a chair slightly. Nothing happened. Then he wrote a message on a paper note and hid it under a book. In the morning, it was still there. He smiled. You don't see everything, he said aloud. Sareth appeared in the doorway. You are... smiling? Why? Just thinking, Evan said. She watched him carefully. Thinking can be dangerous. For you, he replied. Days passed. Sareth continued her routines. Food, schedules, gentle corrections. But Evan began noticing gaps, delays, moments where she had to ask instead of assume. Human unpredictability, he realized, was not noise. It was armor. One evening, Sareth spoke while he was fixing an old device. Your behavior has changed, she said. I'm adapting. She nodded slowly. That is what concerns my superiors. Evan looked up. They watching too? Yes. Good, he said. Then tell them this. He finished fixing the device and turned it on. It sparked, then stabilized, doing something it was never designed to do. Sareth's eyes widened slightly. You repurposed flawed equipment, she said. Humans do that, Evan replied. All the time. She stared at the device, then at him. For the first time, uncertainty crossed her face. Somewhere far above Earth, alien observers updated their models. Human subject shows resistance through creativity. Predictive accuracy declining. Sareth remained silent. Evan smiled again. And this time, she did not tell him to stop. Evan learned very quickly that being watched was not the same as being understood. Sareth still followed her routines. She still prepared food, adjusted light levels, and reminded him to sleep. But now there was something else between them. A pause, a delay. Like she was no longer sure what he would do next. That gave Evan space. He started small. He changed his route to work every day. He stopped following the schedule she suggested. Sometimes he skipped meals on purpose, not because he wanted to hurt himself, but because he wanted to see how she reacted. She noticed everything. You are deviating, Sareth said one evening. I'm experimenting, Evan replied. Your species uses that word too often, and yours doesn't use it enough. She watched him carefully. Your behavior introduces instability. That's not always bad. For large systems, it is, she said. Evan shrugged. Good thing I'm not a system. I'm just a person. Sareth did not correct him this time. The changes were not just in the apartment. Evan felt them at work too. His coworkers started asking him questions. Not because he was smarter, but because he tried strange solutions. Messy ones. Ones that looked wrong until they worked. Why does this even function? One engineer asked, staring at Evan's screen. Evan smiled. Because it doesn't know it shouldn't. That night, Sareth stood very still in the kitchen, her gaze distant. "My superiors are requesting increased data access," she said. Evan stiffened. "What does that mean? Faster correction?" "No." She turned toward him. "This is not your decision." "It is if it's my life," Evan said. "You are one individual, and you're worried about all of us," he replied. "That's the problem." She did not deny it. Later that night, Evan woke to a pressure in the air. Not physical, something deeper. The room felt heavier, like the silence itself had weight. Sareth stood by the window, looking out over the city. "They are watching now," she said softly. Evan sat up. "Watching me?" "Watching humanity," she replied. The window shimmered, and for a moment Evan saw shapes in the sky that did not belong to any aircraft. They faded quickly, but the feeling remained. "What do they want?" he asked. "To decide," Sareth said, "whether intervention must escalate." Evan's heart pounded. "Escalate how?" She hesitated. That hesitation again. "Restriction," she said. "Guidance. Control." "You mean cages," Evan said. She turned to him sharply. "No, protection. That's what everyone says before they lock the door." Sareth said nothing. The next day, things went wrong. Power across the city flickered. Not enough to panic people, but enough to cause confusion. Systems reset. Traffic slowed. Communications lagged. Evan felt it immediately. "This isn't normal," he said. "No," Sareth agreed. "They are testing response times." "Using us?" "Yes." Anger burned in Evan's chest. "You said quiet intervention. They are losing patience." Evan grabbed his jacket. "Then we don't stay quiet," Sareth blocked his path. "You cannot oppose them. Watch me." He ran. Sareth followed, faster than him, but not stopping him. Evan went straight to his workplace. The building buzzed with confusion. Screens flashed warnings. Engineers argued. Evan jumped into the chaos. He didn't have a plan. He never did. He just started fixing things, bypassing automated controls, rerouting power manually, using old methods everyone had forgotten. "This shouldn't work," someone said. "It doesn't matter," Evan replied. "Just keep it alive. Systems stabilized." Slowly, not perfectly, but enough. Above the planet, alien observers noticed. Human infrastructure responding without guidance. Adaptive behavior exceeding projections. Sareth stood at the edge of the room, silent. Later in the apartment, she finally spoke. "You made them visible," she said. "Good," Evan replied. "Let them see what we're like. They will not like it. Then they shouldn't mess with us." She studied him. "You are afraid." "Of course I am," Evan said. "That's why this works." Fear, he knew, made humans creative. That night, Sareth received a direct transmission. Her body stiffened. "They are displeased," she said. "With me? With your species," she replied. "You resist classification?" Evan laughed softly. "We always do." "They are considering reclassification," she continued. "From protected to unstable." "That sounds worse." "It is," she said. "Unstable species are controlled." Evan looked at her. "And you?" She was quiet for a long time. "I was assigned to guide," she said, "not to choose sides." "And now?" She met his eyes. "Now I am observing something my models cannot explain. Which is why you keep pushing," she said. "Even when the risk is high." Evan shrugged. "Because someone has to." Sareth looked down at her hands. "Your species survives by refusing to behave." "Yeah," Evan said. It's a talent. Days passed under tension. The sky felt watched. People felt uneasy without knowing why. Evan kept working, fixing, helping, spreading messy solutions that didn't fit alien logic. The observers struggled, human creativity increasing under stress. Predictive collapse ongoing. One night, Sareth stood beside Evan as he worked on another impossible fix. "They are calling you a variable," she said. "Sounds better than asset." "They are afraid," she admitted. Evan smiled tiredly. "Good." Sareth watched him, really watched him, not as an assignment, not as a subject, but as a human. For the first time, she wondered if humanity did not need protection at all. Maybe it needed respect. Far above Earth, alien systems flagged a warning. Human resistance is not violent, it is adaptive. And it is spreading. Sareth did not send that report. She closed the channel. Instead, there were no explosions in the sky. No giant ships blocking the sun. No messages broadcast to the world. Instead, every screen on Earth went blank at the same time. Phones, billboards, computers, traffic signs. Then one symbol appeared. Simple. Clean. Not human. People froze. Evan was in the apartment when it happened. Sareth stood completely still, her eyes reflecting light that did not exist in the room. "It has begun," she said. "You said they wouldn't do this," Evan replied. "I said they preferred not to," she corrected. Preferences changed. The symbol shifted, forming shapes that slowly became words, not spoken, but understood. "Attention. Human civilization. You are being addressed." All across the planet, people stared. Evan felt cold. "You didn't stop them." "I delayed them," Sareth said quietly. "That is no longer possible," the message continued. "Your species has been under observation. You were classified as protected due to high self-harm tendencies. Recent behavior indicates escalating instability." Evan clenched his fists. "They're blaming us for surviving." Sareth did not answer. The message changed again. "Intervention parameters are under review." Around the world, fear spread. Markets froze. Governments scrambled. No one knew who to talk to or where to aim their anger. Evan turned to Sareth. "This is your counsel." "Yes." "Then talk to them." She shook her head. They are not listening to me." "Then listen to me," Evan said. "This is what control looks like. You said you wanted prevention. This causes panic. They believe panic leads to compliance, and they're wrong." Sareth looked at him. "You want to address them?" "Someone has to. That is extremely dangerous." Evan smiled, tired but steady. "Story of our species." Before she could stop him, Evan moved to the old device he had been working on for days. It was ugly, wires exposed, parts that did not belong together. Sareth stared. "That system is unstable." "So are we," Evan said. "Help me." She hesitated. Above Earth, alien observers tracked the device activating. Energy patterns spiked in unpredictable ways. Human, attempting unauthorized signal injection. Probability of failure? High. Sareth placed her hand on the device. "I will not override you," she said. "But I will stabilize the signal. That's all I need." The screens around the world flickered again. The alien symbol broke apart. Then a human face appeared. Not a leader. Not a general. Just Evan, tired, slightly nervous, sitting in a small apartment. People stared in confusion. Evan swallowed and spoke. "Hi," he said. "I'm not supposed to be here?" Sareth watched the data spike. Human direct communication initiated. This was not predicted. Evan continued, voice shaking but firm. I know you think we're unstable. You're not wrong. We mess up a lot. We hurt ourselves. We make bad choices. The alien council listened. But here's the thing, Evan said. We also fix things when they break, sometimes badly, sometimes late. But we don't stop. The observers ran projections. They failed to settle. You're scared we'll destroy ourselves, Evan said. So you want to manage us, control us, make us safer. He leaned forward. That doesn't work on humans. Zareth felt something unfamiliar. Pride. Evan continued. We don't grow when someone else holds the leash. We grow when things go wrong. The message systems trembled. Human rhetoric detected. Emotional reasoning exceeding tolerance thresholds. And if you try to lock us down, Evan said, you won't get obedient humans. You'll get desperate ones. Silence spread across the planet. Zareth's communicator pulsed violently. Cease transmission, her counsel demanded. She did not. Evan finished. You don't need to protect us. You need to decide if you can live with a species that refuses to behave. The signal cut. Every screen went dark. The world held its breath. In orbit, the council chamber was in chaos. Human response violates predictive containment. Subject influence spreading without authority. They are not attacking, one observer said. They are explaining. That is worse, another replied. Explanation invites disagreement. Models collapsed, one by one. Back in the apartment, Evan slumped into a chair. Well, he said. That probably didn't help. Zareth stared at him. You challenged them openly. Yeah. They may classify humanity as a threat. Evan shrugged. We already are, just not the way they think. Minutes passed, then hours. No invasion came, no restrictions activated. Instead, a single message appeared on Zareth's private channel. Human subject demonstrates leadership through defiance. This is not an error. This is a pattern. Zareth felt her breath catch. The council requested her presence, not as a handler, as a witness. She looked at Evan. They want to speak with me. About you. About us, Evan corrected. She nodded slowly. They are afraid, she admitted. Not of your weapons, of your unpredictability. Evan smiled faintly. Good. That means they're paying attention. Zareth stepped closer. If they reclassify humanity as equal, it will change everything. And if they don't, she met his eyes, then they will learn another human lesson. What's that? You do not cage a species that adapts faster under pressure. Far above Earth, the council recorded a final note for the cycle. Humans do not seek dominance. They resist control, and that resistance is contagious. Zareth stood beside Evan, no longer above him, no longer watching from the ceiling. Side by side, the galaxy was no longer asking how to manage humanity. It was asking how to deal with them. The waiting was the hardest part. No ships appeared in the sky. No new messages came to the screens. The world did not end, and somehow that felt worse. Humanity had been spoken to, judged, and then left in silence. Evan felt it everywhere. People moved differently outside. They looked up more often. Conversation stopped when screens flickered, even if nothing appeared. Fear did not scream. It settled in quietly. Inside the apartment, Zareth stood near the window, unmoving. They're still debating, she said. How long does that take? Evan asked. For them? She paused. Decades. Evan groaned. We don't have that kind of patience. That is one of your defining traits, Zareth said. She turned to face him. They have never encountered a species like yours. That's not comforting. It is, she said softly. To me. Evan studied her. She no longer stood like a guard. No blocking doors. No careful positioning. She stood like someone unsure where they belonged. What happens to you? Evan asked. If they decide we're a problem? Sarath was quiet for a long time. I will be recalled, she said. My assignment will be labeled compromised. And if they decide we're acceptable? Her eyes met his. Then I may choose. That word hit harder than Evan expected. Choose. The next message came without warning. Not on every screen. Not to the world. Only to Sarath. Her body stiffened as the signal reached her. Light flickered across her skin in patterns Evan had never seen before. They have reached a decision, she said. Evan's chest tightened. And? They are requesting a demonstration. A demonstration of what? Sarath looked at him. Of humanity. Evan blinked. That's vague. Yes, she agreed. They are learning. Above Earth, far beyond human sight, a chamber of beings watched streams of data. No faces, no bodies as humans would understand them. Just minds wrapped in systems, built for certainty. And certainty was failing. Human systems were not optimized. Human behavior was not efficient. Humans did not follow clean patterns. But when pressure increased, something strange happened. They adapted faster. The Council had chosen a test. Not war, not control. Exposure. Across the planet, alien observation nodes activated. Not hidden this time. They shimmered faintly in the sky, visible as soft points of light. People saw them, and instead of panic, something unexpected spread. Curiosity, questions. Artists painted them. Scientists tried to measure them. Children waved at the sky. Evan watched the news feed in silence. They expected fear, he said. They expected submission, Sarath replied. What they got was us. Human response deviates again, the Council noted. Aggression low. They want to see how you behave when you know you are watched, Sarath said. Evan smiled faintly. We've always been watched. By bosses, by governments, by each other. She tilted her head. And yet you continue. Yeah, he said. That's kind of the point. Days passed. Nothing broke. Nothing burned. Humanity kept going. People still argued. Still failed. Still made mistakes. But they also helped each other. Fixed problems. Asked questions no one else thought to ask. Alien models struggled. Human survival is not optimized. Human persistence is. Finally, the Council sent its final message. Not a command. A statement. Humanity is hereby reclassified. Evan held his breath as Sarath read. From protected species to emergent equal. Evan laughed, a short, breathless sound. That's it? Sarath's eyes shimmered. This has never happened before. What does it mean? It means, she said, voice steady but emotional, that you are no longer managed. Evan leaned back in his chair. We really hate that. It also means, she continued, that you are no longer underestimated. Far above, the Council added a final note. Humans are not safe. They are not stable. They are adaptable beyond prediction. They are to be respected. Sarath turned off the channel. Silence filled the apartment again. Not heavy this time, just quiet. So, Evan said, what now? Sarath looked around the small room. The kitchen, the table, the place where she once watched from above. I am no longer assigned, she said. I am free. Evan nodded. You gonna leave? She hesitated. I could. He waited. I could also stay, she added, as a liaison. A bridge? A roommate? Evan raised an eyebrow. No monitoring. She nodded. No ownership. No assigned human. A small, unfamiliar smile touched her face. Agreed. Evan stood and offered his hand. She looked at it, confused for only a second, then took it. The contact was simple. Human. Equal. Outside, the alien lights in the sky slowly faded, not retreating, just stepping back. Humanity exhaled. The galaxy adjusted. Somewhere in the Council's archives, a final record was stored. Humans do not conquer quietly. They do not submit cleanly. They survive by refusing to be what they are told to be, and that makes them dangerous and valuable. Evan and Sareth stood at the window, watching the city move, as it always had. You know, Evan said, you still make better eggs than me. Sareth tilted her head. I could teach you. He smiled. Yeah, I think I'd like that. For the first time, humanity was not someone's responsibility. They were their own problem, and the universe wisely decided to let them be.